Hello and welcome to Pastor Chuck Talks, the YouTube channel where we look for the best Christian fiction that we can find, review it, and talk about it. Hey, so the book we're going to talk about today is called Comes a Horseman by Robert Liparulo. Hey, I got it right that time. Um, and I'm really sorry if I didn't get it right and I murdered your last name and you're listening in on this. That being said, maybe you'll feel a little bit better about me when I start reviewing your book because it is fantastic. So the first thing that I review books on is their enjoyability. Are they enjoyable to read? This book has glowing 5 stars review for me on Goodreads. This is a good book. It is incredibly enjoyable to read if you like thrillers, action books, mystery books. Robert, I'm just going to call him by his first name. Robert does a fantastic job building suspense, drawing you in. He is the caliber of writer that you would expect from a John Grisham or a Stephen King or a Patterson. The big difference than those is he tends to get to the point a lot faster than, at least than Stephen King. He is a good writer. He passes the mystery test. The mystery is one that we should be able to solve and figure out as we read, but we probably won't because it's that creative and original. It is a genuinely very good read, very enjoyable. I've read it 4 times now, and I've enjoyed it every time. Now, the next thing that I judge books on is on originality, which this book did give me a little bit of difficulty on figuring out how to review it because I do think it's original. It's at least a 4 out of 5 stars right there because it is very original. Coming from the perspective of a Christian book, it handles a lot of things that we see a lot of. It talks about the Antichrist. It talks about near-death experiences. It talks about I don't want to give too much away or spoil anything. I almost gave a spoiler right there, but it talks about a lot of things that Christian books tend to talk about quite frequently. That being said, I think it does it in one of the best ways that I've seen, and it doesn't feel unoriginal because of how well of a job that Robert does drawing that all together and using that in a new and unique way. The storyline would fit in very, very well in sitting next to any other standard thriller you can think of. It would just fit right next to them very well. But it does a good job because it has those Christian trope elements and it has those thriller elements, where I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 stars for originality. Now, there is a content warning on this book coming from me. Because it's a book, because it's text, it gets away with a lot of things that I wouldn't recommend if it was in a TV show or a movie, but because it's a book, I think you'll be okay reading it. That being said, I read through some reviews other people wrote on it, and one lady said she felt like she was going to throw up after reading part of it. That seems extreme from my perspective, but somebody legitimately felt that way, so I want to warn you about it. There is violence in the book. The violence is not glorified, though. It is something the bad guys are doing and the good guys are trying to stop. There is a lot of darkness, but the darkness is shown as darkness, and the light is fighting against it. And because it's not glorifying anything dark or negative, at least not to my memory. I've only read it 4 times. Because it's not glorifying any of that, even though there is a content warning, I still feel comfortable recommending it. If you're really sensitive to violence in books, go ahead and skip this one, though. Now, the final thing that I'm going to review this book on is something that is called the churchiness scale. Now, the churchiness scale is just a tool that I developed when I talk about Christian fiction to easily be able to communicate how well the book incorporates the Christian themes and the Christian elements into the narrative of the story. So a book that does it very well, where everything is very well incorporated, I would give a 7. 7 is the perfect number on the pH scale. I mean the churchiness scale. If it has a higher score than 7, progressively 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way to 14, it is getting more and more preachy, more and more about the writer trying to teach you their version of Christianity, or saying that this is what he thinks people or Christians should do. If it goes down beneath 7, that means that it's more of a secular story. The story itself is very, could probably be marketed as a secular story, but there might be a few Christian elements just shoehorned in order to sell to a niche market. Anyway, that's so on that churchiness scale from 1 to 14, with 7 being perfect, I'm going to have to give this book about a 6. I thought about going and giving it only a 5 because there are a couple of parts where it sticks out, but I really couldn't find a better example of a book that incorporates the Christian themes into the entirety of the story without becoming preachy. So I'm just going to give it that better score of a 6, not quite a 7, and I just can't even begin to tell you how good this book is. Well, I did. I spent like 7, 8, however many minutes long it ended up being of me talking here, telling you how good this book is. Hey, if you want to hear more about Christian fiction or books in general, go and subscribe to my channel if you feel like it. It'd be nice. Anyway, God bless you. Have a wonderful day.